how important even just a couple of days working with Jaron Boots Ennis is going to be for Canelo, just to see a bit of the tempo, a bit of that switching of stance, because let's be honest, there's not many guys that Canelo has fought that have fought out of both stances and done it as fluidly as Boots Ennis or as Bud Crawford will do in their fight.
Bien, bien hecho. Bonita finta otra vez ahí. No se la cambia.
When Crawford fight, not Crawford. I don't think Boots fight like Crawford at all. That was just some. I think the comparisons they was making initially was just as they both were switch hitters and they both could be so naturally. That's really the only thing that they do the same.
The boxing world has been buzzing after reports surfaced that Canelo Alvarez has brought in Jaron Boots Ennis for sparring sessions ahead of his upcoming showdown with Terence Crawford. Many are calling this a clear statement of intent from Canelo's camp. Former world champion Andre Dirrell emphasized that this decision shows Canelo is leaving nothing to chance as he prepares for September. Ennis, known for his speed, explosiveness, and versatility, is widely considered one of the best stylistic comparisons to Crawford. By choosing to work with Boots, Canelo is showing both respect for Crawford's abilities and his own determination to be fully ready for one of the toughest fights of his career.
Bien, bien, bien. Dándole la cintura. Bien, bien hecho. Bonita finta otra vez ahí. No se la cambia. Ahí. Suavecito y remate. Otra vez. Y remate claro. Suavecito y remate. Sí, un pasito atrás y ahorita, sí. Para un lado, para un lado. ¿Cómo van aquí? Le levanto el tiro.
Boxing Orbit shook up the boxing community when they posted a photo of Canelo Alvarez sparring with Jaron Boots Ennis ahead of his September 13th clash with Terence Crawford. The tweet immediately sent shockwaves through fans and analysts alike. Trainer Greg Hackett called it one of the most significant moves of Canelo's entire training camp. He explained that while some people might initially see this pairing as surprising or even unusual, there's nothing random about it. Canelo is preparing for an opponent in Crawford who thrives on adaptability, ambition, and relentless drive. By sparring with Ennis, Canelo is getting a taste of that exact energy. Hackett stressed that Boots is not just another sparring partner, he's one of boxing's fastest rising stars, a fighter known for his speed, explosiveness, and hunger to prove himself. Training alongside someone with those qualities ensures that Canelo is being pushed to the limit every single day. For Hackett, what many dismissed as a simple camp headline is actually a calculated and strategic decision. He believes Canelo's team is showing true respect for Crawford by preparing in a way that eliminates surprises once the bell rings on fight night.
Camp with Canelo. I do believe this is get back on Crawford for not taking the fight with Boots back in 2024 when Boots called him out. But Crawford was on the bigger and better things, baby. That bigger and better things being Canelo Alvarez, September 13th, 2025. Bigger legacy, bigger name, bigger payday, bigger status. So, too little, too late, Boots. But I am looking forward to how you advance in your career after this, because this camp is definitely going to level you up, man. You're going to get better because of it in every aspect. Toughness, skill set, smarts. You're going to get a lot from this camp, champ. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do because of it. You're already a bad man, dog. I want to see where you take it from here. But Crawford, it's over. I believe he walking away in the sunset, especially if he walk away with the victory, which I'm hoping for. But you, champ, you're going to have to settle for something else. Get Canelo that work, man. He going to need it. He going to need it. According to Roy Jones, Canelo got to be on his A game. You got to be on yours too, man. We're looking forward to seeing what you do after this. It's raining on me right now, so I'm going to cut this short, baby. But Boots, get somebody else, champ. Get somebody else. I'm out.
Jose Benavidez Sr. was quick to downplay the hype surrounding Canelo's choice of sparring partners. For him, all the noise online doesn't matter, what counts is what happens when the bell rings on fight night. He reminded fans that sparring partners are simply tools for preparation, not predictors of the outcome. Benavidez Sr. stressed that whether Canelo sparred with Boots Ennis or anyone else, it doesn't change the reality. Terence Crawford is a completely different challenge. In his words, the real answers never come in sparring, they come under the bright lights, when the pressure is real. His comments cut through the media frenzy, serving as a reminder that seasoned camps don't get caught up in headlines. Instead, they stay focused on their own game plan and trust that the work done behind closed doors will show when it matters most.
I don't know, because it's things I know about camp and how they want things to go. So is it going to be that way? Is y'all going to try to alter the camp, or is y'all going to let them go? Or, I mean, is y'all looking to still?
Give me the psychology behind both sides. What does Jaron Ennis get from this? What does Canelo Alvarez get from this?
I mean, Jaron Ennis get from it being in with the elite, a guy who's prepared for everything. One thing you can't say about Canelo is that he hasn't seen something. Canelo's seen southpaws, he's seen tall guys, short guys, slick fighters, he's seen bulls, he's been up against everything. So you get a world of experience with a guy like Canelo. You get a guy who's in full confidence with a guy like Canelo. So with that type of boxing, I would see Canelo really not worried about so much of what Boots trying to do to him, but really just paying attention to him. But then it's the same, like, I don't know, I can see Boots kind of like, I think the mindset for Boots would be not only to prove I can hang, but to also be trying to see what would come with this shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I don't think I would do that. I don't know. It's just me. I just think, the only reason I say that, because I think Boots could get that fight. I think Boots could end up in a fight with Canelo. And I'm saying that because, the reason I say I wouldn't do it is because I wouldn't spar you and then here go a year later they fighting. Nah.
I mean, for as much as it does for Canelo, it does for Boots though, right? If that were to be the case.
Yeah, but there's so many ways it could go. And what I'm saying is, if I was to be where Boots is right now, if one thing we can all agree on, everybody hate Boots right now. They mad at Boots, right?
Brian Norman offered a more critical take, cautioning that while Boots Ennis is a sensational fighter, his style doesn't truly mirror Terence Crawford's. Norman acknowledged that the two share some similarities in size and raw punching power, but beyond that, their approaches to boxing are worlds apart. Crawford, he explained, is a master of switching stances, setting traps, and adjusting strategies in real time. Boots, on the other hand, relies more on explosive offense and constant aggression. Norman warned that while sparring with Ennis will certainly push Canelo and give him a tough test, it won't fully prepare him for the unique puzzle that Crawford presents inside the ring. His perspective adds an important counterbalance to the hype, reminding fans that while this sparring choice is valuable, it still has its limits when it comes to replicating the challenge of fighting Terence Crawford.
Whatever, we're not even thinking about it anymore, and you were just Canelo is slipping and stuff like that. Does it make you kind of rethink Canelo and that Crawford fight to be well, he's really taking it serious to bring in a guy like Jaron Ennis?
Well, like I said, I don't really focus on that. We stay in our lane, and try to get better ourselves. And whatever they do, whatever they decide to bring in or whatever, I'm pretty sure they have a plan. But I don't really focus on what other people do. We focus on what we do in order to get better ourselves. Because we do have a lot of things that we need to fix and get better at. So my respects to whatever they do or whatever they're doing, but at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing, but we don't really focus on that, what other people do. Like I said, we got to get better at our craft.
Olau offered a sobering reminder of where Canelo stands today compared to his prime years. He pointed back to the Golovkin rematch in 2018 as the night when Canelo looked at his absolute best. But as Olau noted, that was 7 years ago. Since then, while Canelo has remained an elite fighter, he hasn't appeared quite as sharp or untouchable. This perspective raises an important question: can even the smartest training decisions, like sparring with Boots Ennis, truly bridge the gap between Canelo's current form and Crawford's peak momentum? Oladipo suggested that the Alvarez camp might be pushing harder in sparring precisely because they know today's version of Canelo requires extra reinforcement to face a challenge as dangerous as Terence Crawford.
I mean, I think it's good work. Crawford, I don't think Crawford fight. I'm not Crawford. I don't think Boots fight like Crawford at all. That was just some. I think the comparison that they was making initially was just as they both were switch hitters and they both could be so naturally. That's really the only thing that they do the same. They don't do anything else the same, literally. So I never understood the comparison in that myself. But I think it's still a good look because all work is good work and you want the best work. You feel what I'm saying? So if Jaron Ennis is supposed to be the best work, even though he was a 47-pounder and not going up to 54, which is the same thing that Crawford was. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I do think that Boots getting a lot of unnecessary backlash about doing it, though. I don't agree with the backlash he's getting about, you know what I'm saying, going to spar, getting that paycheck, getting that experience. Because I think he needed it anyway. I always talk trash about him. I always stand in Philly, hiding in Philly. He don't ever want to go outside the spar. He don't ever want to go outside to do nothing else. So in this case right here, I think it's well needed for his career. It's needed for the building of a fighter. You know what I'm saying? You got to go out. You got to go in certain different types of territories and places and get that kind of work. So I mean, I think Boo's getting a lot of unnecessary criticism, and if I'm defending him, it's real. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's getting a lot of unnecessary criticism, talking about sellout and all of that. That's some bullshit. Like,
analysts following this development agree that Canelo is gaining valuable preparation by sparring with Jaron "Boots" Ennis. They highlight that Ennis brings rare attributes, speed, sharp angles, and relentless pressure that few fighters can replicate inside a gym. Facing those qualities day after day ensures Canelo is better conditioned to handle Crawford's unpredictability. While some experts caution that Ennis and Crawford differ in their tactical habits, the sheer challenge of dealing with a fighter of Boots' caliber in sparring sharpens Canelo's reflexes, timing, and mental toughness. Analysts emphasize that this type of preparation is what separates elite fighters from the rest, seeking out the toughest tests long before stepping under the bright lights on fight night.
I don't think that Crawford is fighting the best Canelo anymore. Again, the Canelo I'm talking about, I mean, second Golovkin fight, I thought he was fucking incredible. That was... when was that? Jeez, that feels like a long, long time ago. Second Golovkin fight was 2018. So I'm saying peak Canelo, although still very, very good people, peak Canelo for me was 6 years ago. It's a long time, or 5.5 years. That's a long time. In fact, exactly 15th of September. So it'll be to the day 5 years. Have I got them? What was I talking about? Sorry, almost 7 years ago. Jeez, that's a long time ago. Where some might say peak Crawford was Errol. So, shit, I didn't realize how long ago that was. And he's clearly not that same guy anymore. It clearly isn't. He's no longer fighting elite fighters. I mean, unless you're going to say William Skull was elite. Edgar Berlanga, no. Munguia, no. Jamel, no. John Ryder, no. Third Golovkin fight, no. So he's no longer fighting the best, but he still is very good, and he's still a top 168 pounder. And I think this is why people are saying it is a 50-50 fight now, because we can see the deterioration in Canelo. Like, say what you want about William Skull. Canelo looked poor in that fight as well. Everyone's like, oh, William Skull ran. Well, Canelo didn't cut off the exits. Canelo wasn't great himself. Canelo's punch output was horrendous. So we can clearly see the deterioration. That said, he is the naturally bigger guy. I just mentioned the fact that Crawford's put on size, but the naturally bigger guy in this weight class is Canelo. That has to count for something. We know Canelo's been able to absorb punches from the naturally bigger guys. I mean, barely anyone's put a dent in this guy, right? That's how good his chin is. Maybe the best chin in boxing. It's frightening. But the legs have slowed down. The output has slowed down as well. And I always think about, with Canelo, desire and want and will. I always sort of say, where is that desire?
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.